Hey guys, GearKid660 here, and right now I'm going to be reviewing the Makita LXT fridge freezer. I'm going to review some of the pros, the cons, and who I recommend it for and what I do not recommend it for. Starting with the pros, this thing can be powered through multiple power sources, such as a 12-volt car. I'm just using my portable power bank here with a 12-volt accessory, so it can be powered by your car. Regular cigarette outlet. It can also be powered. It comes with a 120-volt adapter, and also, most importantly, it can be powered with Makita 18-volt LXT batteries. The 12-volt connection actually has a low voltage shutoff, so let's say you ran out of your batteries on this in your particular car and you don't have any batteries left in the tank over here, the fridge will shut off, so you would be able to start your car. Now, having said that, I would not recommend putting this directly to your car battery. If the 18 volt runs out, you always should set your system up in a way where you do not want your fridge freezer to rely on the car battery, even though it has protection. It's not something I would trust. Also, the battery protection levels are not mentioned inside the manual. On typical higher end fridges such as the like Engels and the what's the name of it? Dometics, and some other fridge freezers such as Ice Coast, they have battery level protection, like they have level 3, 2, and 1. 1 is drain as much of the battery as possible. Then you have 3, which is far more sensitive. The moment you shut off your car, it kills the fridge freezer. Obviously, this is the American version. In America, or not the Americas, in Europe and in Asia, they have the LXT 40 version, which can take both the 18 volt and the 40 volt batteries. As for me, I don't really care. I only need the 18 volt batteries, primarily because I'm not invested in the 40 volt line. And by the way, if you see here, it only needs one battery to operate. I take out one battery, and if I shut off my power station, it would still run. It only needs one battery to continuously run, and you can hot swap it. So right there, I can take out another one, and it will still continue to run just fine. Also, there's also a USB battery. Not USB battery, a USB power cord, so you can charge your phone or devices. This is a decent size. This is a 20 liter or 21 quarts. For those in the refrigerator type of world, you would know that it's also similar to the size of an IceCo 20 Go. I'll put the physical dimensions somewhere in this video, so you can just pause the video to take a look. It also has a heater mode, such as we have, which you have two choices, 130 and 140. I primarily use this as a cooler, not so great of a freezer, but I'll talk about that later on. For the heater mode, not so sure if it's good enough for Uber, but I do use it every now and again for short takeouts. Like, you know, whatever you can fit in here, like to go like Chinese, and I preheat it before I get over there, and that way when I come home I still have heated up food. In terms of build, it's pretty solidly built. Has thick plastic, and as you can see, pretty good insulation wise. The hinges at the back are actually metal, so that's pretty good. And as you can see, as I tilt it back and forth, it has some pretty decent leeway without doing any. You don't have to worry about damage in terms of you know, a little bit of tilt on the fridge freezer. It also has a bottle opener right here, which works fine. In order to save battery on a trip, let's say standard car has a 12 volt adapter that shuts off when you turn off the car. If this happens when you shut off the car, it's the same thing as what I did over here, where I pulled the plug on 12 volt. It will continue to run on the 18 volt. So you have, it's a UPS uninterrupted power supply type of fridge freezer, which is very helpful. So regarding batteries on a trip, you're on your trip, your standard 12 volt plug right here that fits into your adapter. When you're on a typical car, when you shut off the engine key, it kills off 12 volt. But as you see here, when I took out the 12 volt from the power station, it still continues to run, so it kind of runs like an uninterrupted power supply. So you don't have to worry about, oh crap, do I need a dual battery level setup, like, you know, those crazy off-roaders. You don't need to do that here, primarily because once you kill the power, it will go to the these batteries without skipping a beat. In terms of mobility, it has the straps, which I accidentally undid, but so you can carry it this way. It's kind of uncomfortable to carry it with these straps. Preferably, I would rather much hold the handles on the side, and also you can roll the unit, which has its own collapsible or expandable lever, and it obviously has wheels, so you can roll it as so. It has over tilt protection, as this is the only fridge freezer that I know that has over tilt protection. Maybe Dometic has one. I don't believe Angle or ARB has one, but I accidentally flipped this thing over once when I took a turn too hard and the compressor shut off. It had an error side on the fridge freezer, which is pretty cool. Just remember, if you actually do flip this, keep it in a level surface, and obviously wait a few hours before you turn it back on. That way the refrigerant goes back to the goes down to the compressor, and so it will properly cycle again once the event happened. Also, some of the cool things, some of the unique things, is this also has a right here a filter, a washable filter, or it's in the back and the front. So this is the only fridge freezer that I know that has that kind of feature, which is pretty cool. Typically, on all the other fridge freezers that I know, we always had to, I just had to blow it out with compressed air, but the fact that this has a filter is pretty nice, forward thinking of Makita. It's the only fridge freezer that I know does this. In terms of weight, it weighs 30 to 35 pounds with batteries. It also has an LED light inside. I take this off the tripod. The color temperature for the LED light's a little too warm for me. I kind of wish it was blue, but hey, whatever, at least you have one. In terms of build quality, again, as you can see, it's a pretty thick door. If there was anything that was going to break, it would most likely be this flimsy door, as you can see. Although it's metal hinges, since there's no insulation in this door, it doesn't feel as heavy duty. It's just a simple flap door. So keep that in mind when handling it. I don't know if you guys can be able to see this, or hear this specifically, but the compressor is pretty quiet when it activates. I think you hear a little slight whirl and a slight little buzz but then your ears kind of get used to it. So I feel that I am comfortable sleeping with this for camping purposes. So those are the pros. So going back to the cons, the compressor is pretty weak on this unit. For those that watch my channel, I have multiple fridge freezer combinations. I have Domestics, Icecos, Angles with Sawafuji motors or compressors, and also I have like a no-name Blizzard box which actually has a SecOp compressor in it. My assumption as to why they have a weak compressor, other than obviously keeping costs down, is that it is a type of heat pump design in which this fridge freezer is also a heater. I don't have any other fridge freezers that has a heater with it. None of my Angles, none of my Domestics, none of my other fridge freezers in my collection. So also Makita doesn't tell us what kind of compressor it is, so I do not know the longevity of this type of fridge freezer. Like I said, the two standards for me is SecOp or Danfoss or Sawafuji compressors. If it's not those, this doesn't have a proven track record, but obviously I'll give it a shot. If it ever breaks, I'll post a video on it. So what are the other downsides for regarding such to have a weak compressor? It takes significantly more time to cool down compared to my other fridge freezers. Probably 50% everyone else is 50% faster than this fridge freezer. It could be that Makita did this to conserve battery wise, since they have since those other fridge freezers are probably designed for a dual battery setup for a car, or aka way bigger batteries than these LXT Makita batteries. Also, the compressor activates longer and consistently more times than my other compressors to keep the contents cool, with obviously the same ambient conditions and within the same temperature readings or temperature setups that I've used. In a car, I live in California. In a car that's 100 degrees inside or more, with two 6.0 LXT batteries, the most it can ever last is up to 4 hours in the 40-degree setting. So what I do to prolong the, since I use this fridge freezer when it comes to work, in order for me to prolong the battery life without burning through two batteries before that time, since 8-hour workday, I generally put in these two big block ice packs inside, which I freeze at home, and then before I leave I throw it on here, then I turn on the fridge itself. I would not recommend this for long road trips because, like I said, of a weak compressor, and also like overlanding trips, and also the weak compressor. I would not trust this in extremely hot temperatures. In like 100 degree plus Arizona weather, I would much rather recommend that you get the name brands Dometic, Iceco, or Engel instead of this fridge freezer. If you're not in those super hot states, then this is most probably fine for you. Other things that kind of sucks is that if you hook this up to either the 12 volt or the 120 volt power, it does not charge these batteries. I guess I sort of get it why it doesn't charge, because if you charge it, if you have to put an inbuilt charger in this Makita, then that would also mean you would probably have to make the fridge freezer bigger. Now, for those that, I leave that choice to you guys, whether you believe that's a downside or not, but keep in mind, take a look how compact this freezer is already. You have your battery station up here, and look at how much space is left for the compressor of the unit itself. So if you're going to put an inverter or a charger of some sort here, you're probably going to take probably that much more space to make room for the charger if you were ever going to charge it with a 12 volt or a 120 volt. So I suppose it's not, it would probably not be as clean, and obviously Makita just wanted something that was good enough for a job work, not so much a a job or work site, not so much a long overland trip. If you're on a long overland trip, I would probably recommend something, a bigger fridge freezer, probably minimum of 30 liters and up. This is only 20 liters, so keep that in mind. Other things is that there's not that much in terms of cooling modes and obviously heating modes. There's only 2 heating modes, but you can't get exact on your cooling settings. Like example would be on my other fridge freezers, like my Domestics and ARBs, you can dial it down by 2 degrees. This thing has pretty decent or pretty big temperature swings. You go from 15 to 25 to 30 to 40 to 50, so there's kind of a little bit less in betweens. They either go by 5 or 10 degree increments when you ramp up or ramp down the fridge or the fridge freezer temp settings. Other things that I don't like is the position of the cord. Sorry for the quick jump cut. I was kind of disturbed by a phone call, but from this one of the things I don't like about this Makita is the position of the 12 volt cord or the orientation of it. As you see, the cord is actually pointed right next to where the wheel is. Makita should have flipped it up and put the other way. And no, it's not reversible. It can only go in one way, and of course it has to be where the wheel where it can bite if you roll this thing. So, so that's another downside for that. They should have flipped it the other way around. That way when you roll the unit, you can be able to transport it without eating up the cord. Now, some would say is, why don't you just take the cord out as you transport it, which is absolutely true, but I do not like taking these cords in and out, in and out, in and out, because over time they wear, and you don't have, it could be to a point where you don't have proper contact, and all of a sudden you're going to have a fridge that shuts on and off because it gets loose all the time. So once I put the cord there, I have a tendency of just leaving it there. In my opinion, that was a poor design choice to have it point towards that way of the fridge freezer. So who do I recommend this fridge freezer for? I would recommend it for job site use, for quick 8-hour, job site use. If your job site has 120, you can plug this thing into 120. There's a cord for that. Or you can buy an inverter such as this, which runs on 120, but it has a converter, which you can be able to shut it off. Or I mean, not shut it off. You can use the 12 volt plug continuously. That way you don't have to turn take out the 12 volt plug, replacing it with 120 all the time. Also, for anybody within the Makita platform that does not need a particularly super powerful fridge freezer for crazy off-road use and extreme weather, like I said, this weak compressor chews through batteries like it's nothing. I don't know if I said this or not, but in a car that's 100 degrees, 2 6.0 batteries can only last about 4 hours in the 40 degree settings with no ice blocks inside. If you guys, also another thing that I would recommend for is fast everyday work environment where exacting temperature is not a worry. And also people who don't want to buy around and lug around one of these power generators, or not exactly power generators, but big batteries or inverter batteries which rely on which are basically an oversized battery. That way you don't have to buy a dual battery setup for your car. this is a good alternative to that. I would not recommend it for long road trip use if you require freezing because of the weak compressor. I would only recommend anything with a Sawafuji compressor, which is angle, a SecOp, which I know ARB and Iceco's use, or a Dometic freezer, which I don't know what they use for their compressors, but it's generally more powerful than what's provided in this Makita. Although it's the only fridge freezer that I know that has tilt protection, it does not have any handles for tie-down straps at all. It's just you can't use your typical bungee straps. It's too small of a slit for you to just clamp down over here. You can be able, I suppose you can tie it down other ways, but with other off-road ready types of fridge freezers like the Angle and the Dometics of the world, they have actual handles that you can wrap tie downs on. Other things, operating time, it called out for on one battery at 85-degree ambient temperature, it can go for 2 hours, 2.5 hours at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and frankly I don't believe it based on my findings. If you guys are curious of what you can fit in this in 20 quarts, as you can see, I have one of these popsicles. I have two of these standard big ice blocks that you can find at Walmart. Two 40-ounce clean canteens. These are two of these are inside here, and also I have another Haagen-Dazs small ice cream inside there. And as you can see, there's still some more space that I can throw in there, probably another one of these bottles. And so just to give you a gauge of what you can fit in here. So if there's any other questions that you guys have on this fridge freezer, just let me know. I'll try to answer it. So anyways, have fun, stay safe out there. Thanks, bye.